Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys, and I hope that didn't clip really loud and just sound terrible for the YouTube channel, or even for the podcast in general. I'm Matt Marrero, and I am here along with...
Tristan Walter.
Tristan Walter. And today, Today we're stuck in a bunker, that's right. That's just literally what life is, really. You're stuck in a bunker, and then you get shot in the face. And so, God, this is a sad movie.
Who's gonna shoot who in the face? Find out tonight.
Yeah, right. Find out tonight on this episode of 10 Those Guys Lane.
Oh no.
Anyway, so
you win, Matt.
Today we're talking about. Yeah, right. Today we're talking about 10. You're gone. You're gone. We're talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane for another episode of Friday Night Movies. And the reason why, if some of you don't know, that we're kind of jumping to these so quickly, it's a few reasons. First off, we really enjoyed the first Cloverfield a lot. And I got to be honest, I think this one kind of lived up to the hype. You know? I don't. Maybe it's just me. It was a different beast.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, that's the thing. I really realized, like, you were talking about Abrams and, you know, the other directors of the films wanting to not just do something for the sake of a sequel. They wanted to have another story to tell. This is definitely another story. It's taking place in the same universe, cinematic universe, obviously, but they definitely told this in a completely different way. It almost feels like almost a complete different genre for the movie itself.
Well, arguably it is, because it went from, you know, shaky cam to a more traditional third-person perspective. So technically it is a different genre. Right. But, of course, it's still in the horror genre. Less kaiju, of course, which I think... Right. I think that might have been the only, not mistake necessarily, but I do think that even though so the naming of the movie is a little bit interesting to me, because obviously you want to evoke the sense that, hey, this is a spiritual successor, but it isn't Cloverfield 2, because that would give people the wrong idea. But putting Cloverfield in the name definitely is a weird situation, because I know the idea of maybe branding or the idea of but again, we want to invoke the same feelings. But because of how little kaiju or little giant monsters there were, or really in theory there were no giant monsters because that was some kind of spaceship.
Right. Giant spaceship monster on spaceship.
Yeah, because it seemed like a giant spaceship monster. You're right. There was technically a mouth, to be fair, but it's just so strange to me, because I'm not saying they should have went completely off the rails and not called it anything related to Cloverfield, and they definitely shouldn't have called it Cloverfield 2, but I do think that potentially, if anyone didn't like this movie, maybe they just were too, I guess, thrown off. Like, they may have went out, and if they didn't have Cloverfield on DVD, they bought it. They were like, yes, I saw it 8 years ago, because this came out in 2016. I saw it 8 years ago. I'm going to watch it again, and then they loved it again. Maybe saw a little bit of a few flaws that they didn't notice the first time, but they're like, man, I love this movie, and I'm going to see the second one. And they go see the second one, and it's just not the same film. Not that you need to make the same film and just slap a 2 on it, but even putting aside the shift from shaky cam to third person and being a bit more traditional with their storytelling, also even putting aside the fact that they obviously went for bigger name actors in this movie, which I think they were able to pull it off because they went for that third person perspective.
Right.
Because I think if they did a first person shaky cam thing again, you couldn't have John Goodman in the movie. You would just be seeing John Goodman. You wouldn't see him as Howard. No matter how hard he acted, you just couldn't really see him as Howard, because something about it would be too real.
Right.
So taking it out of that, you were able to kind of hire actors that many people might know versus hiring a bit more of early unknowns.
Right. Yeah.
I know, like, you and I, at least I know personally, I don't know much about the actor that played Emmett. But I did see, but I have seen Michelle's actress before. She was in a really funny show called Brain Dead. and she's, and it's funny because Brain Dead was very quirky. I'll talk to you about it after the podcast, but very quirky, and this show, or this movie rather, as well, similar. So her and her agent, I want to meet them both. Very, like, they pick very interesting roles and very interesting shows and movies and stuff like that, because this definitely is going to get her some nerd cred.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say. Like, no, like, you don't want to be typecast as an actor, actress. You don't want to be typecast, but definitely a movie like this, it's like, oh, and also the fact that she lived and she might be fighting the resistance. If there's ever some kind of crossover, future films or something that they maybe, might need her voice for, something animated, whatever it is, she's even said that she's willing to come back.
Right, yeah.
So
cool.
I think it's, that not only would that be cool, but I think it's really nice to see that that she seems so willing to do this. So I think in general, like, it's kind of like a grassroots thing where, like, you just want to seem like you're grounded in the work that you do. Some of the nerdier stuff, like, really it helps. I don't know, like, I think it's really cool. Like, she seems approachable. Like, if I was at a con and I heard that she was going to be there, I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. What new project is she going to be in? I want to check her out in that. Because even though I've only seen her in two, pieces of like, I guess, work, cinema, whatever, because one of them's a TV show. But still, like, she's already seems like fun and quirky and interesting as in these different character roles. Although this one, of course, very tense, not as quirky in some respects, but it was interesting. I'll say that much. Her role in this. Before we kind of delve into what the fuck was going on with Goodman's character and some of the others, you did not like this movie as much as the first one.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I respect how it was told, and, like, again, telling a different story from a completely different perspective in universe. Like, they did a great job with that. And I'm not saying it's not a good movie. It definitely is. I think it's a well-made movie and a well-told story. It's just not my kind of story.
That's but you know what it is, and that's the thing. If anyone's wondering what does he mean by that, you don't really watch a lot of you don't watch a lot of films in general, but the ones that you do, like I said earlier, are a lot nerdier, a lot more like Back to the Future, anime related.
I'm more into fantasy and sci-fi, so horror really isn't. And maybe I'm wrong, but I would call this kind of a horror movie.
But that's what I liked about it, is that even though we had less monsters, although of course I would argue at the end with, Goodman half burned, trying to, grab her leg, you kind of see his face and it feels like he's literally like the Cloverfield monster, like the way they did the makeup CG.
The entire time.
I mean, he basically was, and that's the whole point of the film, thematically.
Yeah.
But I still think, though, that they really, like, this movie was in some ways just as tense as the original Cloverfield was, and that was before the monsters came out. But that's what's interesting. Before we saw one monster try to attack Michelle, was the character's name, Michelle in that barn. Before that, it felt like Goodman or Howard could pounce at any time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was amazing on his part. But what I think is the reason why I fell in love with Goodman's portrayal of Howard so much is because I argue the best villains are the ones that don't know they're being villainous.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is I feel like whenever you have certain, like, even though I don't know why we're comparing it to this, I guess first thing came to my head, Marvel villains, right? Like, live action Marvel villains. There's certain villains that I feel like they know that they're being little shits.
Yeah, right.
Like, even if they think, oh, I'm doing this because, it's right, there's still something about Loki that I feel like Loki understands. Like, oh, no, I'm being an asshole. But I like being an asshole.
Right.
Where Howard truly believes in himself. He's like, well, what do you mean? What? But I had to do that. And his sense of morals, minus the potential kidnapping stuff, his sense of morals seem very, like, wound up in a certain like 1950s-esque way where it's kind of like, hey, happy house, happy home, don't talk at the table, no cussing. Hey, no cussing at the table. Watch your language.
Yeah.
And it's just something about him. I mean, do you remember when he put on the jukebox? He was like, "It's time. Good teamwork, guys. Let's put on some music." I don't know if you noticed, he was dancing up the steps.
Oh God, no!
As he walked away, he walked up the steps. He took a step down, like he's like boom, boom, boom. Took a step down, took a step back up, and kept on walking. There's just something about his portrayal that, in a sick way, is whimsical, and it both, depending on the scene, either adds to the tension or makes you kind of laugh at this character's utter aloofness.
Yeah.
Or the way it just adds to the scene where, it's just, I watch you. I know what you're doing. Santa. Oh, Jesus. I knew she was going to say Santa.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even his it wasn't his turn, but you know what? I'm going to keep the point.
Oh
it's just little stuff like that, and it's just, I don't know, like just the fact that he truly didn't believe he was doing anything wrong. And frankly, I know you were very skeptical at certain points about, a lot of the film. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that I ever thought that Howard was a super nice guy, right?
Yeah.
But there were certain points of the movie where I did believe that, okay, Howard did hit her car because he was, worried about the end of the earth or something. Or, because obviously he knew about the end of the earth, quote unquote. I mean, he always planned for it. But, I assumed that he hit her car, that I imagine. I didn't think it was to kidnap her and keep her prisoner.
Yeah.
But what my whole take on it is, though, is that, like, what I thought while watching the film, I thought it was going to be more so, like, again, like, oh, well, I need to save people, and this is how I know how to save people, because obviously there's something wrong with Howard, but it's not like he's evil. Of course,
until
as
we go
on, until he's evil. But again, though, he's evil, but it's so strange. Like, I don't know what his, like, was his, because the thing, too, is, here's the thing I want to mention as well. Did he, like, okay, so maybe this is open-ended, or it's not, maybe to you it's not, but to me it's a little open-ended, because obviously, yes, he's kidnapped before, so obviously he has no problem with kidnapping.
Yeah.
However, here's my point, though. Did he just see a random woman in a car and thought, all right. Like, that seems irrational compared to, like, I know you might be like, Matt, it's Howard, but there's something about Howard's character that, despite some of his little issues with rage, he does, in a sick way, seem rational. In a sick way.
Yeah.
Like, it seems against him to just be like, is that a woman in a car? I guess I'll kidnap her.
Right.
Like, it's like, because usually, I hate to say this, but usually the MO for a kidnapping is, sadly, the person knows you or knows of you. And she was just randomly, Michelle's character, was just randomly driving in her car.
Right.
So I think the one thing I would...
Because he even said, like, oh, I saved your life, at some point you'll learn to be more appreciative of that, So it's kind of the idea, it's like, yes, you did save me, and I'm alive in here, I guess, in this bunker, but you still did it against my will. So... Well,
no. But obviously, and then we learn that... But what I'm trying to say is, that's that. But I'm saying when we learn later that, oh, God, he's kidnapped, so clearly he wanted to kidnap me, the question to me is, but why, though?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm guessing he probably looked at her and said, well, actually, no, we found out that wasn't his daughter at all. So, I have no idea.
And that's the thing. I wish, despite the fact that, I understand, in life you're never going to get all the answers and stuff like that, but I do wish that this movie addressed, actually, interestingly enough, there's a website that I don't know if it's still active. I'll look for it after the podcast is over, but apparently they actually had info about Howard and his daughter in a viral campaign, the same way they did with the first movie.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to look that up and see if it's still available or what info I can find. But the thing is, I don't know if it's about Howard and his daughter or Howard and his fake daughter that that isn't actually his daughter, the girl that he kidnapped that we saw in the movie. Because my whole thing is, did he have a daughter? She did leave, and he was just like, you're my daughter now. Because, again, he's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
Or did he just never have a daughter, and he just kidnaps girls until he kills them?
Right. Yeah, it's like, how crazy are you?
Yeah, like you're up there. Don't worry.
Oh right? Yeah, you're definitely winning the award, but
for what? Yeah, you're winning the award, but for what category?
On a scale from 1 to putting bodies in a bucket to dissolve them. Oh wait.
Well, that's the one thing too. By the way, when he's like, "This dissolves people," I was like, Howard. There's a reason why your daughter left.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest, I think at one point that's why he would have killed me. I'd be like, Howard, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Your wife left.
Oh yeah, no. I'd be like, but I think there's a reason why they wanted to leave. Also, by the way, I want to mention one thing, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to mention one thing. The reason why apparently he might not have ever even had a fucking daughter, or potentially, he attributed, unless he gave this random kidnapped girl his daughter's clothes, which it's still fucked up. When he said, "Oh, this is a picture of my daughter. She loved Paris. We always used to make jokes together." It's like, did he ever have a daughter and then attributed those aspects to this new girl?
Right.
Or did he just kidnap someone?
And he just
and then asked her, "What do you like?" And she's like, "I love Paris." Oh, of course you. Yeah. Like, I don't know. The scariest thing. By the way, I don't know if this scared you as much as it scared me. This part of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle is a little girl, and I was like, "Oh God, she's in her 20s, dude."
Yeah.
She's in her 20s, and you've only known her for less than a few months.
Right.
Like, unless we learn that Howard was a stalker, and he stalked her, which would make sense because he's sick and twisted, and, again, that's something, he apparently kidnapped people, so that would make sense. But it's just strange to me that he, never knew this woman and kidnaps her.
So then that makes you wonder, I mean, I'm guessing he must have figured out that, the world was going to shit somehow, but, his whole background and all of that, what's the lie, Matt? How far do the lies go?
I have to be honest, I think he has a military background. The way he spoke and the way he
handled himself.
The way he yes, thank you. The way he handled himself. I'll say the way he composed himself. He definitely felt like someone. If he didn't have a military background, he was still a nut for a military.
Yeah.
Like he either he was at a military background or he was, really into the media. Like he watched a fair amount of Full Metal Jacket, is what I'm saying.
Right. It was enough to build a bunker underneath his farmhouse. So.
Yes. Also, you know what I love so much? I love that this movie, and not only this movie, but a movie like this, will have a character that says, "It's aliens!" And the audience can't connect with the main character and Michelle, who's like, "Oh, God, he's crazy because he mentioned aliens." We can't connect. We're like, nope, Howard might be right, actually.
Yeah, that was the worst part. That was the worst part for me about Howard, because every time I felt like I nailed it down, nope, you're insane, you're going to kill us, and it's going to be a bad time, they would always turn around and have him do something semi-sane, so I'd be like, are you trying to make me feel bad for thinking you're a nutcase? Is that what's going on here? Because if it is,
well,
I'm going to be pissed.
Well, remember, he's a nutcase for jumping straight to aliens from Ruskies.
I mean,
it's
true,
just us. It's just us, the viewer.
It's like, we saw the first movie. I mean, he's not. Oh God, he's not wrong.
Right, but Michelle. But the thing is, to Michelle, he is clearly nuts, and to be fair, he is nuts, just not for.
Well, because that was the first thing that really he wasn't willing to, tell her the situation. Because I'm sorry, if you're not, an insane kidnapper and them out in the middle of nowhere, you would explain the story to the person, even if it did make you sound even more insane. So when he starts to explain himself.
Okay, hear me out though. If I've never met you, and you save me from wreckage, and you have me in your house, and you're like, okay, or you have me in your basement, and you're like, dude, there's zombies upstairs. I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I started to realize, like, of course he's, there's something wrong here because, maybe he didn't. Maybe he couldn't, maybe he didn't have a phone, but like if I was in that situation and I wasn't insane and trying to plan to kill you, I'd let you try and make the phone call. I'm like, go ahead, phone's right over there, give it a shot. It's not going to work, but give it a shot.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
you're not
he wasn't calmly saying, like, he wasn't identifying with the fact that she's like, of course she thinks I'm insane. She has no idea where she is. She's hurt.
Well, no,
and
he did understand that.
Happened. Well,
no, he understood.
Well,
yes.
Okay.
No.
You meant him understanding where she was coming from. Yeah,
yes,
I definitely.
He did early on. It's just that it's a strange situation because I'm sure he understands that if I give it to her straight, what is she gonna say to me? Also, to be fair, Howard doesn't know what the fuck is going on. All he knows is I saw bombs in the sky, and I saw gas fly around, the same gas that she saw later on. The same gas that clearly infected that woman who died in front of them.
Right.
So
at least she
clearly,
didn't explode.
Yes, this movie was definitely less gory than the first one, despite Goodman and the guy getting shot.
Right, but you don't actually see his head explode, even if it is behind a curtain.
Yes, exactly. Pay no attention to the corpse behind the curtain.
In the barrel.
So here's the thing. Oh yeah, the barrel, that was the goriest part when we saw him in the fucking
didn't need to see that.
No, not at all.
He was my favorite.
He was. Now, mine too, I have to say. It's just so strange because I really wish we could have learned, and again, maybe there's background media about it, but I wish we could have learned Howard's true motivations because the thing is, clearly, from the looks of it, Howard wanted to bunker himself down, and Emmett literally, apparently, forced his way in.
Right.
That's what Emmett said. He was like, oh, how'd you get that arm? He kidnapped you. No, I forced it. That was me trying to get in here.
Yeah.
And it was like, Howard was trying to close the place down, and I kind of sort of forced my way in.
Right.
Because he helped Howard build the place, so he knows where it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's interesting, where it seems like maybe the plan for Howard was, I'm going to kidnap a girl because that's just what I fucking do, and I'm going to be down in this bunker, and that's that. And that was going to be the dynamic. But then Emmett comes in and fucks it up.
Pretty much. We're going to live out our little happy life together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Till, the Stockholm Syndrome kicks in.
It's just super strange because, and what's interesting too is how abusive, obviously he's a kidnapper, no shit, but I wonder if he did have a daughter because he does kind of come off as this abusive dad that's pushing people away without realizing it.
Right.
I mean, think about it, right? Literally, it's him, Michelle, and Emmett at the table, and like I said earlier, this 1950s dad vibe of like, excuse me, let's not even have any conversation at the table. We have to eat in peace. I don't like this, and neither does your sister. And it's like, wait, what? Like, obviously, Michelle had no problem talking to Emmett.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, the conversation at first was awkward for her, but it was like, at least he's trying to, make nice. And because if you spend your entire, however long in that bunker not talking to each other, it's going to make you more insane than it would be if you learned to talk to each other, even if you don't appreciate this humor, which I did. So fuck you, Howard.
Well, the thing is, it's funny. it was more so the idea, not only the 1950s vibe, but also Howard wanted her to himself. But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I still want to know what the vibe was. Was it creepy rape, or was it I want you to be my daughter? Still creepy, but not rape.
I feel like it was a mixture of both.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I got to go take a shower now. Thanks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got to wash away the fucking sin.
Yeah, we're both just gonna go now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on a fucking hazmat suit.
Is it made out of a shower curtain and plastic soda bottles?
Look,
which was inventive as fuck. Like, I give it to her. Like, fashion designing for the win. But
no, because I have to say, right? I love her tenacity. I love when J.J. Abrams is really good at making strong female characters.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, to be fair, it's not an Abrams film. Someone else wrote and directed this.
Yeah,
but, but still, Abrams had a hand.
I
yes,
think it was
of course.
Matthew something. I can't remember from the credits.
Travesky, I think. We'll look it up. Can you look it up as I
cannot
talk about?
Look it up.
Oh, right. You cannot look it up. Right. I'll look it up. I forgot that you're on your cell phone. No, I forgot that you're on your cell phone.
Name, but credit where credit is due.
Yes.
Trying to.
But the reason... No. But what I was going to say was, Tristan, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not the biggest fan of her being able to make this makeshift suit and have it work. I didn't want her to die, necessarily.
Yeah.
But I know it sounds silly to talk about suspension of disbelief after the fact that, even before talking about her throwing the Molotov cocktail and all that stuff. Like, I get it. And also the fact that it was a beautiful moment. Also, having the aliens there, I get it. I shouldn't be talking about suspension of disbelief. But the fact that the suit worked, it just, I don't know, man. I don't want her to die. I didn't want her to explode. I didn't want her eyes to bleed.
Right.
It's two things. First off, the suit worked. Secondly, she saw birds and took the helmet off as if the contamination isn't still chilling there.
Right.
Like I'm not a guy who knows much about much, Tristan, but if the place was contaminated, once by that toxic gas, I don't think it would just be gone.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It seemed to be kind of a temporary thing. Like, only immediate exposure to it would actually harm you. So, now maybe, prolonged exposure to trace amounts of it may lead to health defects or infection, but, because they spray the gas in a concentrated area, and after it passes over her, it seems like it's fine again. So, that's the thing. We don't really know what kind of weapon this is that the aliens are using. Obviously, it's effective, with direct contact, but maybe it's not strong enough. Maybe they don't know enough about our biology to make something long-lasting that would affect us. I don't know. This is stuff that's, I guess, just speculation.
Are you sure it's aliens, Tristan? Are you sure it's not South Korea?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was the moment where I realized, oh, right, this was made in 2016.
What do you mean? Like the whole idea of like another Cold War type thing?
Yeah, just the topical jokes.
The YOLO one made me remember.
Oh, God, yeah.
Or Thug Life. Yeah.
Right. Just tattooed across my forehead. Thug Life. Oh, God.
But
why? No.
One thing that I think was very simple, but in a sense not funny in some ways, but funny in other ways. It depends on the scene. And it's a standard movie kind of tell that movies will do. Like little hints throughout the movie, and then at the end it'll come together, or other scenes will tie into other scees. But I feel like there's certain movies that don't do that much anymore, even though I think it's a very nice, simple, effective storytelling technique, where the idea of my brother used to help me out when I was younger with my abusive dad. and then Emmett helps her later in the movie. He takes the fall.
Oh, jeez, I didn't actually make that connection. Yeah.
That's one.
I mean, it's plain as day now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, another one, and this one actually had me laughing. This one I consider funny. Just because of what happened at the beginning of the movie, you basically have Howard saying, I can't trust you, you're going to burn this place down. and at the end of the movie...
burning the place down.
No, literally when the chemical hit the fucking... the fuse, the light. I was like, you motherfucker, don't do that. And then it hit, and it started flaming. I was like, oh, you motherfucker, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that I found funny. I don't remember any other ones, because obviously other ones are obvious, like, Emmett talking about the whole ticket thing, and then, Michelle holding the ticket. Like, that's obvious.
Right, yeah.
Right, so I don't know what other ones I can spot. If anyone's watching this through YouTube, please spot them and talk to us about it in the comments below. But I can't think of any other ones in particular. But I think that one really got me sad, because also her reaction to him being Howard at the dinner table when he was getting a little abusive in her face, I thought that either she was abused by either her dad or her not husband but boyfriend, I think it's considered, the one that she left in the beginning.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but the way she was packing, it felt like there was something, even though he's trying to make it seem like it's like, oh no, we just had a fight. But I don't know, something about at least some of the themes in this movie made it seem like he might have been like a dick.
Right.
For lack of a better term. Abusive is a better term. Because, she just packed up and left. And we don't know much about her pre this, but with the way she is during this, it just does not seem like she just packs up and leaves over small shit.
Right. I mean, there was even one scene, like, when she's packing up, she opened up a drawer with a screwdriver, too. So, the idea that, something that she needed might have been locked up and she didn't have access to it. I mean, I guess you don't...
Right. That's actually abusive behavior 101, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
I forget
that's no bueno.
I forget what she took out of the drawer, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, that's not good, actually.
Right.
But anyway, but getting back to the acting in this film, I do think, it's something that and by the way, I really respect you and appreciate you for, the way, for how you are as a person, because when you can say, like, oh, it's not Cloverfield, the first movie, and I like that one better for these reasons, but that doesn't take away from what these actors and actresses and what the writers and everything, how they just told a very simple story. With a very simple... No, I say that about you, though, because you could have easily went, no giant monsters. I'm done.
I mean, well, yeah, man. I mean, just because I'm complimenting it doesn't mean... No, I'm kidding.
But
completely turn around your opinion.
Well, I always knew that I hated you. Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Well, that's a twist.
Apology accepted. Oh, God!
Yes. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think is the creepiest part of the movie, and tell me how you feel. The creepiest part of the movie to me, very hard to find one, but I think this part made my skin crawl. Well, two parts, actually, but this one I think is number one. Mm-hmm. When, after Emmett died, fucking Howard shaved and was clean cut and looked like he dressed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to know what's number two? Even though I think maybe now that I think about it, I might flip them. But you don't want to know what's number two on the list?
What?
It's like, are you watching 16 Candles? No, Pretty in Pink. Just young Molly Ringwald movies. After everything we know about him kidnapping teenage girls.
Well.
Did you not pick up on that one?
No.
Yep. That freaked me out. Where it's like, why the fuck are you sitting in a dark room alone I mean, the only thing I can say is, praise the Lord his pants were on.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck are you in a dark room alone when nobody's around? All you have is the TV and the remote, and you're watching Pretty in Pink. As an adult, again, it's not like you can't enjoy movies maybe from your childhood or whatever, but, like, just after everything we know about him, that didn't sit well. And the writer really made sure to just pick it apart. Like, let's make him watch this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
Time for another shower.
Yeah, right? Well, it's time to wash away the sin yet again. More sin is developed.
Oh, God.
And this third thing that I find disturbing, and this is just as a film aficionado. This is as a film aficionado. He has VHS, DVD, but no Laserdisc. I would have left right there. No Laserdisc? I'm sorry, sir. I know you kidnapped these young girls, but also I feel like you don't understand the true difference between the quality of Laserdisc and DVD. I don't think you get it.
Maybe he just have the time to get one for his bunker.
I mean, when you're that busy kidnapping girls, I assume it's very hard to find the time to buy Laserdisc.
And then again, when you have time to gather all this other stuff, I mean, like, you could have thrown in the Laserdisc, man. Come on. You had the time.
You had the time. You know what really you know what confused me? And I know this might seem really dumb, but I'm being actually legit serious here.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I know Howard's morals are really off the wall because right? Mm-hmm. But with his moral compass, the way it is, the way he conducts himself with the whole, like, military man, this, right? It was strange that they pulled out the VHS and it was like Cannibal something, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it was a horror movie. I was super. I guess maybe they were trying to, like, enact maybe some zombie vibes or show that they're young 20-somethings,
Yeah.
But I was like, Howard brought that movie down to the bunker?
Yeah, right. I thought it was hilarious in the scene where, like, she's totally fine, Michelle's totally fine watching it, and Emmett's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I assume the creators wanted to just, again, push that she's badass, she doesn't care, she's, whatever.
Right, yeah.
She's okay with that. And then Emmett, because he's a country boy, he's very much just like, ooh, this is not my cup of tea.
I mean, I'm there with him, so,
Yes, that is true. You do feel the same way. But
it's basically like me watching horror movies with another friend of mine. She's like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. Oh, actually, I'm not going to say the friend's name because we don't do podcasts or Let's Plays with her, but you're talking about Black Mirror, aren't you?
Well, that's another one, but yeah, that's on the list too.
Oh, okay, so different friend. Sorry, I thought it was Black Mirror, which made me laugh because that's also on Netflix.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just so interesting because again, we had a lack of monsters, which I do think it sadly, even though I feel like we had a lot of monster in the first Cloverfield film. I do think in this one, though, the lack of monster... I mean, look, I'm happy they went with a new location, especially one really far away from New York, kind of very, very, very rural. Very.
Yeah.
Right? But I still feel strange about talking about the monster for a sec, the design of the monsters, or monster... technically two. The design of them was very strange because... I mean, I know that the idea is this is set in the same universe, i.e. the same, Earth, right? The same world. But it's so, because not like it's different planets or anything, but like it's just so strange that they didn't really share any kind of similarities at all. And I know you might say, well, Matt, we watch Godzilla movies and they're not all the same. It's like, yeah, but like the monsters follow some kind of format, and I know they were people in suits, so maybe that's obviously why, the limits of technology at the time. But, like, they all follow similar, you know, like we walk on 2 legs. Maybe we're on 4, but we're still walking, right? You know, I shoot this out of my mouth, or, you know, I hit you with my tail, or, hey, I fly, but I still have a beam or something, or my gust of wind is that strong, whatever. But, like, I've never thought, I can't think of, like, a kaiju, like a, you know, a Godzilla monster even, or other series, that's, like, it's flying and is a spaceship.
Right.
Like, I've seen spaceships in different, you know, Super Sentai and Kamen Rider shows. I've seen them even seem like they're alive, technically. But there's always someone inside, and granted, maybe there are someone inside these and we just didn't see, or some being inside it, we didn't see it. But it felt like it was a living, breathing organism. And I just feel so different than the Cloverfield monster.
Right.
Like, almost like they're both from 2 different planets, if you will. Like, I can't imagine them on the same planet hanging out.
I mean, it might, like, the monster from the first one may have been something these aliens were just using as a weapon, like, as an initial strike. Or, I don't know, like, again, not really sure what's going on with that, or whether that was something that got woken up when the satellite fell in the ocean.
Right, yeah, because we don't know how that connects to this in any way, obviously.
Right.
There's nothing in this film at all that indicates anything about New York.
Right,
which
right.
was also interesting. That even though they obviously are setting up for, you know, they kept Michelle alive, she's going to be fighting in Houston. It seems like at least in Houston they're winning.
Right, or holding their own.
Yes, at the very least. Yeah, it's funny. When they're like, we're winning, I'm like, that's just you being very optimistic.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you see her driving towards Houston, and you just see the lightning strike and another ship, which to me looked even larger. It's just looming in the sky. And it's like, well, you're all going to die. I'm sorry.
I mean, if all it needed, not to be a dick here, but if all it needed was one Molotov cocktail in the mouth, I assume that's how they've been killing other ones. Like,
yeah,
you know, grenade to the, not grenade, but like, I mean, grenade launcher to the mouth, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if anyone would have gotten that close to be able to try that.
I mean, if they're military, if they're military, I assume they have fucking better gas masks than she does out of a fucking...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of, like, I don't know that she actually expected that Molotov to actually work. I think it was kind of a last fuck you before you eat me.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that if she figured that out... No, I'm just saying that if she figured that out and she's just a person who watches horror movies, then I imagine other... Like, I really wish we got to learn more about her and her backstory. I know the idea is she's just a normal person, but
well,
it felt strange.
That's why I think it wasn't her, like, putting 2 and 2 together about anything. It was actually just a lucky shot. Like,
no, but that's what I'm saying. But if she...
And I'm going to go for it.
No. But what I'm saying is if she can make a lucky shot, then
she might
people
have been
who know...
in that... Right, she was in that position because she was about to be eaten. I don't know that... I mean, granted, other people may have been in this position, but I don't know that anyone else, like military grade, would have had the weapon on them or been in that same situation where, the mouth is exposed and it's right in front of me. I should take this shot. I feel like...
No.
If they're resisting, they're going to be on the ground, and they might not be able to do the same kind of damage from the outside. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
I know. I'm just saying that the tanks that were trying to be shot and all that, you know, weaponry used at the Cloverfield monster, that one seemed stronger in a way. At least, like, more for ground and pound, like, you know, I'm, like, again, a more traditional Godzilla-type monster. Where this seems like it... Yes. This does not seem like it can, is what I'm saying. Where, like, I know I know she didn't think it was going to work. I'm just saying that, holy shit, it did. Like, I thought it wasn't going to work.
Right, yeah.
But apparently it did, and it's like, wait, what? Like, it's kind of funny. them actually saying, we are resisting this. It's like, yeah, because those actually seem resistible.
Right, yeah.
Where, I mean, I feel like the Cloverfield monster, if you threw one of those in its mouth, it'd swallow it. And it'd do that little, like, funny animated gas, like, you know, like the boom in the stomach, and it would burp it out.
Right. Oh, that would be more funny if it wasn't so horrifying.
But you see what I mean, though? Like, I don't expect it to swallow that and be like, oh, no, a Molotov cocktail made me explode.
Right.
Its hide looked way too rough.
I like a little spice with my dinner.
Yeah, right?
With my HUD.
Just literally, it's like, we threw the Molotov cocktail. What do we do? Well, we want to make it happy. I guess throw it some ghost pepper, too. I don't fucking know. Fuck are we going to do to this thing? But yeah, so I feel like, I don't know what connection there possibly could be. I don't know if these two inhabit the same planet. Now, you said, oh, what if the Cloverfield monster was wave 1? But we don't have, like, we can assume that these two movies are happening at the same time.
Mm.
In other words, it's not like...
It was something that Howard had kind of mentioned. Like when they say, oh, that sounds like a helicopter. He's like, yeah, it's not ours, though. It's like, how can you tell? It's like, I think all that military training, I recognize what our helicopters sound like.
Right, but it was the thing that she ended up seeing at the end of the movie.
Right, and then he goes on, like, again, how much stock do you want to put into Howard's knowledge either, but because he's insane. But he's...
No, what I think Howard was assuming this. When I saw in his head, this is his head. When I saw the bombs in the beginning, that was phase 1. Now they're sending ground troops in helicopters for phase 2. What probably actually happened was those ships, whatever they were flying around throwing the bombs like they were originally. Like we saw when she left the bunker and we saw some explosions. That happened in the beginning. Howard saw that, was like, fuck. Right?
Yeah.
Then what they heard stepping, because when she was like, oh, there was a car, I heard it. It might have been an actual car. Again, some people escaping, some people actually getting away. What it might have been, though, because she heard just steps in general, it might have actually just been those monsters, the one, like a bunch of them, the ones that she saw.
Yeah. Right.
Like even though she only saw one of them, but it could have been that one monster traipsing around, or it could have been tanks trying to take these things out.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. First, I thought tanks.
Yes, it could have been anything. That's the thing. So, and because in Howard's mind, everything is like he thinks of it from a military perspective, even though he brought up aliens, but he does have a military perspective when. Really, it was more so like, oh, you know, it's aliens fucking with their weird, you know, ships, and it's monsters. Because that's the funny thing. He guessed aliens, but he never would have thought monsters.
Right.
Like, I got to be honest. I feel like if I talked to Howard, first off, I'd be fucking terrified. If I talked to Howard and I was like, what if they were like Godzilla? He'd be like, that's too much.
That's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even believe in zombies.
Right, yeah.
And this is conspiracy nut central here.
Right, yeah. That was
Which, by the way,
I was sad we didn't get to see with Howard. I really wish at one point he just had a tinfoil hat. That just would have made it perfect for me.
What did you make that from? I was really into Hershey's back in the day. Loved Hershey's. Just kept on taking their little tinfoil, and I just made that's a giant hat, Howard. I had a lot of Hershey's.
Oh, my God. It's just like the size of a sombrero.
My God, the size of a sombrero. I don't want to measure tinfoil hats in sombreros, Tristan. I don't want to use that as a measuring stick. One thing I want to mention, though, that I think I didn't know, okay, and here's something I really enjoyed about what they did with Howard. In some, depending on the context.
I'm sorry I brought him back up again.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, I'm sorry. I thought we were done with Howard. I'm sorry I brought him back up again.
Yeah, right? Haha, look what you did, Tristan. One thing that I enjoyed is, depending on the context, right, either what you know about Howard or what you just know about a person in general, some of the things that Howard did, like the fact that he just took the hit in the head and then said, see, like, there is stuff going on out there. It's okay. I understand. The fact that he did that in a different context, you're like, oh, wow, like, you know, he understands, like, look, I know you hit me, but I get why you would if I was in your position. But then later on with what we find out, immediately it's twisted into, oh, God, he just wants to keep her down there no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think it's just so interesting because I'm just looking, as you know, as longtime listeners, viewers know, and I watch the movies in the background again while we do the podcast. So as we're doing, talking about it right now, I see him with the gash on his head, and I'm like, yeah, it's just so interesting because, again, at that part of the movie, I was like, oh, wow, he didn't, like, chain her up again. Because I thought he was going to chain her up again.
I certainly thought that was coming. Yeah.
And it didn't. And I was like, oh, that's strange.
Right.
Yeah. Although I guess it's just so strange that he tries to mention his daughter. Like, I don't know if he's trying to, again, like, woo her and be like, yeah, you know, this is what I'm opening up to you about my daughter. Like, trying to woo her because he saw that she was being wooed by Emmett. Or, like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, man.
Yeah.
Again, I really wish I knew more about that. I really wish we got that in the story itself. You know, there were some critics that were saying, that there wasn't much depth to the characters. And I don't know or much character development. And I don't want to say that there was none, but I do admit it would have been nice to, like, it's funny. You're like, oh, Emmett's my favorite. Arguably, we know the most about Emmett.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone was set up enough for what they were going to do with them.
But
like,
I think we got
more as
more of
character development. I didn't really feel like it was lacking, or like
you know what I'm saying?
What it needed.
Yes, I'm just saying that I think we know the most about Emmett, though. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like it feels like, what do we know about Howard? Navy, kidnaps girls, maybe has a daughter, unsure.
Right.
Michelle, she left her boyfriend, had an abusive dad, saw a kid once who also had an abusive dad, didn't do much about that.
Car crash.
Car crash. Well, that happened in the movie. We can't count it.
Right.
That's not backstory when it happened.
Right.
So that's the problem. And then Emmett, we're learning about him. He's like, yeah, I lived here all my life. I thought I could leave it for for something bigger. Turns out I couldn't because the school didn't focus on my academics. They focused, which by the way is a true thing. Like, it was so interesting how real they went for that, where they had him say out loud, they focused on me being better at sports and academics. So because of how good I was at sports, I was able to breeze through everything. Not breeze through, but like my lack of my bad grades didn't matter. Yeah, and I got accepted. And to be fair, I hate to say it, but Emmett could have potentially flunked out of that college.
Yeah.
Because they didn't build him up academically, but he still got in based, like, because when I say build you up academically, I mean, like, for all we know, even though he got bad grades, they may have not let it show. Oh, he got B's, he got B pluses. It's like, no, he didn't. He would have gotten F's, but he's really good at track.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Because, but it's still, his character feels, like he was, like he feels like he's trapped. He feels like he didn't do much with his life. Technically, Michelle feels the same, but we never really get what she didn't do with her life.
Right, yeah.
She's like, I also have regrets. But, like, Emmett, like, we hear, like, he literally talks about, like, even though it was kind of, like, half joking, he was still saying, like, I would have gotten a tattoo.
Right,
I would have gone to college. I would have left this town.
in a way, he feels kind of the most relatable. Yeah.
The most complete. And it's really frustrating, too, because Michelle lives, which is good, but, like, I wish we could have gotten more from her because she's the lone survivor. Not that I expected Emmett to be the lone survivor, but I did expect them both to live, though.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Well, because, I figured at some point they'd team up together to get out, and they would get out. Maybe one of them would die after that, but, or during.
I expected Emmett to live or all of them to die.
Yeah, that too.
You thought, I love that. You're texting me. You're like, oh, well, she's dead because she took off the helmet.
Yeah. Oh, no, when she got the gash in the thigh on her suit when she was getting into the pickup truck, I thought, well, there we go.
Yes.
And then she took off the mask, and it's like, well. No, it's funny. Like, I think I really thought she was gone when the ship starts coming towards her in the horizon. And then when she sets off the car alarm for the other car, I'm like, well, now you just, It's like you could have just run into the cornfield and, like, hidden in there for maybe a few minutes. And it probably...
because the monster was in the cornfield.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Well, I don't remember when it deployed, but, like, because she was standing on top of the pickup. And she said,
she was
starting to yell, and that's when it turns around.
No, but when she actually went on the ground and then started the car alarm, and then she went into that barn, she then saw that the monster.
That's what it was. She ducked behind the pickup, and then the bunker exploded, and then the ship was like, "Whoa, there's something down there," and then it sends out the sentry, which fucked that thing. Oh my god.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is that little monster, the little monster came out of the cornfield. That would have ripped her to shreds, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying, like, if the explosion hadn't have gone off and everything and, like, alerted them to deploy sentries, like, I feel like she could have dashed into the cornfield and just hidden in there for a few minutes.
Right. So, but no, I'm just, all I'm trying to say is that, I did not expect him to die. So when he died, I was like, granted, I actually want to say that it's sad to say this, but it's my favorite scene in the movie, the way it was set up.
Oh,
like, I hate Emmett when Emmett died.
Yeah, right.
I hate that he died. But the way that he died, the way they set up the scene, the gunshot, the fact that the gunshot ended up a deafening silence, and then all you hear is Howard saying, "It's okay, it's okay." He was gonna, so we had to do it. Like, just all of that, and then her face, her expression, it was just done so well.
Right.
As a scene that I had to respect it, despite the fact that I actually jumped when I heard the gunshot, because they obviously increased the volume so loud.
Right.
Because it was because Howard just that he just very quietly I accept your apology. And then there was silence, and then boom.
Right.
So, yes. Also, another thing, too, that I enjoyed is that even though, so I'm happy that Michelle didn't go out again, because I was really worried that when she went through the air duct, she was just going to try to get out. So I'm very happy it was locked. It was scary when she found, of course, the help me on the, on the, scratched in there. Yeah, on the glass. But I thought she was actually going to try and get out again, and I'm like, listen, you just saw this woman. I get it. Howard is Howard. Believe me, I get it. But you just saw the woman. Don't stick your head out the glass.
Yeah, you need a plan. Right.
Yes. But then later
she
on...
goes back and makes. Right.
Yes, which I think was very well done. Because, again, they didn't have... It's interesting because they didn't have much to use because they went with that small set. But I think that that's what made it so familiar, where it's just like, yes, that's how she can get out. And, of course, earlier on, we see Howard look through, like, hey, you doing okay? Because he's watching her through the vents. Now, he can stab her, which that freaked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I screamed, oh, shit, when the knife went through the...
Right. Yeah.
Ooh. I was like, oh, shit.
All I could think of was the first Jurassic Park movie. where the raptor pops its head through, and the girl falls through, and Alan grabs her and pulls her back up, and you just see the raptor mouth coming to grab her leg.
So I actually, funnily enough, thought of the raptors as well when the alien stuck its head through the barn door.
Oh God, right. From the second one, right? Yeah.
Yes. No. Well, even because it reminded me sort of the first one in the kitchen.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's what it made me think of. But yeah, no, it's funny getting Jurassic Park vibes from a movie like this, but especially when not everything was a monster. Just how it reminded me of a raptor. Cool. Just would love to tell that to John Goodman one day.
Oh my God.
Hey, John Goodman, when you were in 10 Cloverfield Lane, you really made me think of a raptor. What's the look on his face? But no, he's a great actor, though. I mean, again, everyone in this was good at what, it was good, but because I really got lost in who they were. Oh, I have a question for you. When the movie first started and we first met Emmett, did you think he was going to be a bad guy?
I mean, at that point, I felt like, because it was funny, when Howard was talking about, two other people names and it's the pigs outside, I thought there were going to be, like, multiple people stuck in this bunker.
Yes.
But, and then
or
it turns
dead bodies.
out to be three of them. So, So I was like, everyone in here is going to be insane.
Well, here's what my concern was. First, when he's yelling at him, I thought, oh, God, he has someone else chained up. But I didn't know if they were trying to make me think that there's someone else chained up, right?
Right.
Then when we see him, and he was like, he's very sorry. I didn't know if, like, he's friends with him and he actually is sorry, or if he's just trying to cover up for abuse. Yeah. Then when Emmett goes, no, I helped him work on this thing, I was like, I don't trust you, Emmett.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, that was the thing. Like, it could have been anyone that appeared around the corner. It could have been, like a 4-year-old girl, and I'd be like, I don't trust you. Right? Just start screeching. You're close. It's you. Oh God. Oh God. But that's a good point. Yes. And I think that's also a real nice foil to the first movie, where you have, you're in a populated city and there's so many people on screen a lot of the time, other than the few people you're following normally. In this, it's centered around 3 people. Yes, and it's really interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, still somehow, even though there isn't this sensory overload, still increases the tension and panic just as well, even with only 3 characters. Yeah, because I think that's something that's really cool about this. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, I just enjoy that. Like I said, just now, it wasn't a giant sensory overload, right? Like we could just have 3 characters in 2 settings, right? Just the bunker, and then outside the bunker, and that's it. Right. Because as much as I loved Cloverfield, and I mentioned Marvel movies earlier because I love these, big budget blockbusters. It's nice to just have, just a simple film. Right. Not simple in a bad way, but just a simple film where it doesn't have to be like, oh no, the monster, the monster can fly and it's flying to Japan. I guess we have to fly to Japan. Oh no, it's also gone to China. I guess we have to fly to China. And jumping between all these different locations, which, to be fair, might just be on some sound stage with green screen. But still, to us, it's just a bunch of different, beautiful locations and in different areas and big budget blockbuster, stuff. And it's just, oh no, we have to go to this area and over here and all this jumping around. Where it's no, it's just in a way a prolonged scary conversation. Yeah. Right. It's really what this movie was. But to me, it didn't feel boring at all. I never felt bored. Yeah. Oh. That's the one thing I think, even though we were giving this movie a lot of credit, but I think the one thing we really have to credit this film with is, personally, I never felt bored. I never felt we have to do this again. No, it was always, what is
what is going to happen next? Because, dear
Right.
God, what is going on here? I'm actually
Right.
shocked that the monsters didn't break through the bunker, but I think they probably just didn't care.
Yeah. Or they weren't making enough disturbance on the surface that they thought to look. Because it seems like that's what it takes. Like, it takes a lot of movement on the surface to be able to get their attention.
Yeah,
Like,
because it
I
seems
guess they haven't hit the stage of, hey, those things on this planet can go under the ground. We need to start checking there, too. I don't think they've hit that stage of the invasion.
Yes, no, it seems, that's true. It seems very much that they're just like, hey, we can we can literally just hit them with chemical warfare, and if not, then this one will rip them to shreds.
Right.
So it's like, oh, are they under the ground?
Know how, like, that thing eats. And I'm so glad we didn't get to find out. Because, oh my God.
I agree.
It's just like a tube with a blender in it. And I really don't want to know how that works. Oh.
I hope that if it ate other cars, it got the runs. That's what I'll say. The ship?
Oh.
I hope those cars did not go down well.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, it was an interesting film. Again, it's not the first movie, and I think we have to take that really hard, because if we had to compare it to the first movie, I'd argue it really would depend on someone's taste. Where you would probably go more with the first movie.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know where I lie, because I would, because it would be a thing where the Godzilla fan in me is saying go with the first movie, but then there's another Godzilla fan in me saying, but that makes Godzilla scarier than he even was. Let's not do this. I don't want to watch future 1960s Godzilla movies with you and be like, what about the people on the ground?
Right.
I don't want to have to do that, man.
Right.
So so that's the thing with the first movie, and then this movie doesn't invoke that feeling in me at all. It invokes that a horror movie, like you said, but again, not supernatural horror, which I think is nice, because I've been showing you a lot of supernatural horror for Friday night movies, like The Ring and stuff like that. So, or the Japanese version. Mm-hmm. So you've gotten really into this, from me showing this to you, very much like these. Oh, here are these Japanese ghost horror movies with these, this, even though it's The Ring, it's still like a Grudge, if you will. Right. And then you see this, and it's just like, yeah, this is not The Ring. This is sure as fuck not The Ring. But it's also not.
The people all along that.
Yeah. But it also wasn't Cloverfield necessarily, which kind of brings us back to the first thing we mentioned in the beginning of this whole podcast. Do you think maybe they should have went all the way in one direction or all the way in another? Not talking about the whole first-person shaky cam. Let's take that out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they should have stuck to their Cloverfield-type roots of more giant monster? Or do you think maybe this movie didn't even need the Cloverfield tie-in due to the fact that your response, this is just me, quoting you in text when you were like, LOL, it's like War of the Worlds, basically.
Yeah.
So do you think it even needed the Cloverfield tie-in?
I mean, I think the tie-in works because they still needed the whole reason to be in the bunker in the first place. Because, I mean, if you strip that setting away, then it's literally just a kidnapping movie.
Which isn't a problem, but of course it's not your cup of tea.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I guess, I feel like that would have taken away from it for me. I mean, probably not other people, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because again, you come to this for the giant monsters.
And I mean, that's why I kind of give this movie a lot of credit, because I kind of did come here for the giant monsters, and we really didn't get that until the very end. And usually that would make me go, oh, but it was good with what we got, with this little story here, which is why I really drive the idea. It's it's the same universe, but it's a very different style of storytelling. So it was a good story, so it kept me interested.
I came for the giant monsters, but I stayed for the John Goodman.
Oh my god. Yeah, right.
He won awards for this. Both he and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which is the actress for Michelle, they won awards for this.
Yeah.
Like, this movie actually got nominated for a fuck ton of awards.
Right, yeah. Huh. Forgot about that.
It's
You're
interesting.
right, though, yeah.
Yeah, no, but because, and one thing I want to mention too, of course, now that we're kind of branching away from the actual movie itself briefly to talk about some of the background stuff, this movie, it grossed well, from what I remember from looking at the numbers, but more importantly than how well it grossed, even though obviously, yeah, money does matter in terms of making another movie or more of these movies, what I think is so interesting is the gap in between the first Cloverfield and this movie. It was an 8-year gap.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier in the podcast something that I mentioned during the first Cloverfield podcast that we talked about, where Abrams and other people behind this project didn't want to do it just for the studio, just for the money. They wanted to do it because they wanted to do it. So it seemed like I don't know what their plans were for Cloverfield 2 originally, but definitely, you know, Abrams had other projects. Of course, he had, you know, Star Trek to do and stuff like that, and then eventually he had to do Star Wars as well. So a lot of Star stuff, that guy. So it's almost like he's a nerd, like us. So anyway, what matters is that he, you know, he was doing those movies, obviously very busy, so he didn't want to just crank out other Cloverfield. And then with how popular Godzilla has become again in that time frame between 2008 and 2016, as well as Pacific Rim, he personally felt like giant monster movies might have been played out. Now, or, you know, kaiju movies. Now, I think you and I disagree. However, we do have to acknowledge, though, despite the fact that you and I disagree, maybe a second Cloverfield would have been kind of lost to time if it was released around the same time Pacific Rim and Godzilla were released.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can agree with that, yeah.
Yeah. Even though we would have, if we knew how good Cloverfield was, we would have seen Cloverfield too, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, again, in that 8-year span, we had Pacific Rim and Godzilla, and then Godzilla was so ramped up, it was like, let's make a Godzilla 2, which obviously still isn't out yet, but still, like, and then, of course, Shin Godzilla, which isn't U.S.-based, but still, you know, that came out in 2016, though, to be fair, but still, like, all this Godzilla, giant monster news, stuff like that, I understand why Abrams wanted to maybe step away from giant monsters for a bit, especially when his, you know, was not Godzilla. And Pacific Rim, even though technically Mecha, they fought giant monsters, so that was a big thing as well.
Right.
So I get it. And also I think that mindset definitely played its way into this film, where the idea of, oh, you know, giant monster movies, a lot of them are happening, so maybe we don't do another Cloverfield, like the same way we did Cloverfield, you know, where the entire movie has a giant monster just lurking around.
Yeah.
But I mentioned earlier, you know, do you think maybe the movie should have had that? Do you think not that you would have enjoyed it more, because, again, you enjoyed it for what it was, but do you think maybe it would have felt more like a Cloverfield film?
I don't know. I mean, I think they hit it on the head with just the alien ship at the end. I think that did a good enough job of bringing, you know, the alien and monster element to the film to be like, yeah, we're still in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I don't think they actually needed, you know, the giant. This is me saying this too. Shocker. It didn't feel like they actually needed the giant monster walking around in the background.
That's a good. All right then. So we got it from our giant monster aficionado guy here, Tristan Walter, said they didn't need it as much. You're getting older, Tristan.
Yeah.
But your grandpa Godzilla, that's what you're sitting on like a couch.
Oh my
just
God.
hunched over with the little tiny glasses on Godzilla. The one thing I do want to say, though, that I did like about this movie, and I know it might seem like we're gushing about it completely, but one thing that I actually, when I first started watching the movie, I was going to complain about it super, it was going to be the biggest negative about this movie, the biggest critique, if they kept it going. But thankfully, the one thing that they didn't do was, so it's good that they focused on how bad of a person is Howard, rather than is this actually happening in terms of the apocalypse?
Right.
Because I have to be honest with you, Tristan, it would have been a bit of an issue for me if, Michelle is like, oh my goodness, is there actually an apocalypse throughout the entire movie, where the viewers know that there is because we saw the first Cloverfield.
Right, yeah.
That would have been frustrating if that plot element was kept throughout the film. So I'm happy that early on we got to see her try to, very early on, I would argue, we got to see her try to escape.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like that's the first priority no matter who it is, really.
No, but because she tried to escape, we got to see that other woman, is what I'm getting at.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So that she could go, oh no, there really is. Howard is off, but he isn't lying about the idea that there's some kind of chemical attack going on.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, I'm happy, because I would have complained about it completely, because it would have been too much, I think, to have her not know there's anything wrong until she steps outside at the end.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
sure, she did. To be fair, she didn't know what she was going to see. Yes.
Right.
But it would have been way too much if she thought she was being kidnapped for the entirety of the film.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's something the movie did well, right? Just making us focus more on Howard, like, okay, we know that there's monsters out there. She doesn't, but they don't. All three of them don't know that monsters exist. But there are monsters out there. Howard's right about this gas shit, because we learned about the spider babies and, the exploding people in the first one.
Yeah.
So we can suspend our disbelief to know that, there's some other monster shit going on up there, but what the fuck is going on with Howard right now? Who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is going on with him? We're learning weirder and weirder shit as the movie goes on.
Right.
So I think it was really good that they focused on him, not just because they could have still focused him as him on the main, focused on him as the main villain, even if they made it seem like she didn't believe that there's anything going on outside. But again, it just would have been too much, because we know, and yeah, sure, we have the benefit of seeing the first movie, but I still don't think that should make it so that we have to feel like we can't connect with her because she's like, I don't believe you, Howard.
Right.
It's like, oh no, she believed him. She just believed that the world outside is much better than fucking staying here with this guy.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's so funny. She's like, Howard, I believe you. The world outside is a mess, and I might die if I go out there. You look like you're getting ready to leave. Oh, I am, Howard.
It's like, but therein lies the all-important, hitch in the sentence. Might die out there. I know I will die in here if I stay with you.
Yeah. Is it the acid? People always tell me. They say, that's because I tie them up. All right, Howard, I'm leaving.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Like, all right. Well, you had me at, I saved your life. Now I think I should be going.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing.
Yeah.
It was all of the attempts of even if it might be toxic out there, it's just the fact that you're still so apprehensive about,
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's just Jesus. But yeah, just thinking about just the fucking horror aspect of this film. But yeah, one thing I want to mention that was very interesting. There was a website, I think it was like Taraguto or Tarugatu. It was a website that they used originally to promote the first movie.
Right.
I think it was like tarugato.jp. Apparently that website got revived 8 years later when this movie came out, or was coming out.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah, right.
But another thing I want to mention too, something interesting behind the scenes stuff, is that apparently the actors and actresses didn't know that the movie was going to be tied as closely to Cloverfield because they were using a code name for the movie the entire time.
Oh.
So they knew that it was Cloverfield adjacent.
Right.
But they didn't know that it was going to be this tied up to it until they heard the day of the trailer launch that the movie that they starred in was called 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Damn.
So it's that day that they were like, oh shit, we knew that it was going to be in the same universe technically-ish, or like a spiritual successor.
Right.
Because that's the interesting thing, though, Tristan, because as far as the actors are concerned, it's in the same universe.
Right.
J.J. Abrams calls it a spiritual successor. Two different things.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting. Two completely different things.
Right.
Because one signifies, this could totally be happening. Like the first one could be happening in New York, while this one is happening in Louisiana.
Or Texas.
Well, they were supposed to be in Louisiana. She would have driven that far to Texas, to Houston.
All right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
No. I looked this up online, sir.
Oh.
Sir.
All right.
Sir,
whatever.
No, apparently she was driving. I think she was originally in Texas, perhaps. I thought that I don't know, but no, this actually took place in New Orleans.
I'm sorry, she's driving to Houston at the end. So
that's where she is driving to.
Right.
Yes, but anyway, and also it was filmed in Louisiana, so on site.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what's really interesting too, Tristan? They filmed in a legit bunker, apparently.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure from what I read, there's no like Hollywood magic there. They actually filmed on set. The only place they filmed somewhere else, which was still in Louisiana, was for the explosions because they had to get a separate area for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Goodman's own bunker. No.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God.
He's such a good guy in real life. Such a good guy. Donated his own bunker.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. Also, you know what I love in a sick way? When certain movies, like post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic films, when you have that one character who was like, hey, man, they all thought I was crazy, but you know what? My life is complete. I've been preparing for this.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine Howard in a world without the apocalypse? Everything he worked for. Just.
Yeah.
No, the thing. Everything he worked for just meant nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but getting back to the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, the actors, as far as they're concerned, and some people who worked on the film, it's in the same universe, calling it the Cloververse. But with Abrams, he said that it was more of a spiritual successor, but then also said that future films, if they can be made, which of course this is 2 years ago, obviously the future films have been made and are still being made, but at the time he said that maybe future films could help tie some things together between the earlier films.
Right.
And again, it's very interesting because we have the new Netflix movie that we'll be talking about soon on the podcast as well, and that's called Cloverfield Paradox.
Right.
So I really wonder what's going to be happening there.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think gets me sad, and it's a completely off topic, we're not going to talk about it too much, that's the only Cloverfield movie on Netflix. We have to track down DVDs for these. Right, DVDs or Blu-ray. Oh, here's what's really funny. So obviously this movie came out in 2016, 10 Cloverfield Lane. So because it came out in 2016, of course, there's a Blu-ray copy. And it's just really funny just hearing Howard be like, I only have DVDs and VHS. And it's like, the movie you're starring in was released in Blu-ray. You do not own Blu-ray.
Maybe he doesn't like the quality of Blu-ray.
Well, I don't think you'd be able to fit that in the fucking bunker. Get a small CRT. That'll.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't think. Sadly, I don't really know much else. Much other behind the scenes stuff. There really isn't. There really wasn't that big of a viral marketing campaign for this, like there was for the 2008 Cloverfield.
Right.
But all I'll say is it. Again, I said earlier, good movie. Right. Again, it's hard for me to say which one is better. I think, though, that for some people who, like I said earlier, there might be some people who really love the first one. But I have to admit, though, if someone wasn't a fan of shaky cam at all, but they still wanted to see a movie kind of like Cloverfield, I would say watch 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Right.
Because it's very rough, especially people either who get motion sickness easily or they just really don't like the genre, to be like, dude, you have to watch Cloverfield. Because I think for some people, especially people that we know, they would just immediately be turned off by the shaky cam.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you would have been if there wasn't that much of a monster presence.
I mean, I don't have a problem. I don't get motion sickness from that kind of thing.
Well, no, but just not being a fan of the genre if there wasn't as much giant monster. Even though we said there was too much, if there was as much giant monster in the first movie as there was in this movie, I think you would have been like, all right, there's just too much shaking going on. I want to see more monster. No?
I mean, I liked how they used the shaking cam for the first one, so.
That is true. I'll give you that. Yeah, they did use it very well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anything else you want to say about the film? Because I feel like it's not like everything was done well. There has to be something. The costumes were terrible.
Oh my God.
I don't know. What do you do?
I mean,
what do we say?
I think just getting into it, the first part of the movie was kind of weird for me because it starts off completely silent to the point where I thought there was something wrong with the audio.
Okay, I'll give you that. It was, the start to the movie, like I said earlier, I do think I wished I would have preferred a little bit more backstory, I guess, because, it starts off very, very silent until, we get the phone call and everything. Something, thank you for reminding me.
And then
yes,
it's just
you reminded me
figure out what the hell's going on.
Exactly. You're really trying to figure out what the heck's going on. But one thing you reminded me of, in the convenience store, they had a slush show, like a sign with slush show on it, like a neon sign at the gas station.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I want you to check that out in case some of you may be watching didn't notice it. They had the slush show sign, and I was like, that's funny.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Slush show. Wow, slush show was so good. Aliens had to try some.
Oh, jeez. That's why
Aliens were like, man, this slush show so good. Mm-hmm. But so that's why they're invading. That's what you said. Yes, that's why they're invading, Tristan. I don't know what else to say about this movie other than there was a lot of good. I wish we learned a little bit more because I think the one thing about the first movie that I enjoyed was, yes, I understand we're not going to learn everything about the alien invading. Very similar to the first, Night of the Living Dead, where we don't know much about the zombies. We just have people speculating through newscasts. That's okay. Right. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I do feel like in the first movie, I know you weren't a big fan of the relationship drama, but just that alone and kind of knowing like who's related to who. Of course, we had a little bit of an issue following that in the beginning, but once we got that down, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe, you know what it is too, I think? Maybe because of the fact that it was shaky cam, it made me kind of it didn't really need me to – I didn't need to sit there and go, wait, I need to know more about these characters, because it felt like there was always a reason for them to be running.
Right, yeah.
But because this movie had so much time for people to kind of talk and get to know each other, I wish I had gotten to know a little bit more about some of the characters. I wish, and I know it might seem dumb if Goodman got some big reveal as he's walking around, because, you know, half of his face is fucking burnt off, so he's not going to be monologuing necessarily.
Right.
But he did get to say, come on, stay here with me. Like, I don't know, I feel like I would have liked to know more about some of the weird shit that he's done. Like, we got to know enough to know she needs to get away.
Yeah, I think I'm good without knowing more weird shit.
I just want to know if he has a kid or not. I just want to know if that's a lie. That's what I'm saying. That's all I want to know. Is
Fair
that
enough.
a lie? That's all I want to know. Like, do you actually have a wife? What the fuck are you what was your life like before this?
Something just,
yes.
Yeah. Have you always been this insane, or did someone do this to you, or something do this to you?
Yeah, like, did she actually take the kid away, and then that's what sparked, like, no, I need to have a daughter in my life. And it's like, okay, you leave.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine him just sitting there just like, I need a daughter in my life. Look, man, I'm not going to judge you, but if you could leave the Chuck E. Cheese, that'd be great.
Right.
Just get the fuck out of here. You cannot say that out loud at the Chuck E. Cheese, sir.
Oh, my God.
The animals on stage are animatronic, but they look genuinely concerned. Can you imagine? Like, it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, this guy's fucking weird.
Oh, dear God. Five Nights at Goodman's.
5 Nights are good. 5 Nights. God
Five
damn
Nights
it.
in the Bunker.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. That would be a great setting for 5 Nights at Freddy's. For a live-action movie, that bunker.
Oh,
But I want to mention, though, something I should mention, that this movie could have actually been found footage, super fucking easy. Because don't tell me that Howard's character is not weird enough to have cameras all over the bunker.
Yeah, right.
So I got to be honest, they could have done that, but I'm happy they chose to leave that in the past. And you know what? I got to admit, there's no interviews about this, but or at least I haven't seen any. But I bet you, with the popularity of Paranormal Activity from 2008 to 2016, that might be another reason why they kind of wanted to leave that behind.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, talking about things that are played out, I would argue if you had to compare giant monsters and found footage movies, found footage is probably more played out at this point than, yeah. Because technically, if you don't know this, Tristan, Paranormal Activity isn't shaky cam, but it is found footage.
Right. Okay.
Which is pretty much what Cloverfield was, because it starts off with like, hey, like the whole like this was found at what used to be Central Park.
Right.
Yeah, that whole thing. But yeah, so here they could have easily went with found footage. So in a way, I'm happy they didn't. I'm happy they changed it up. I don't know if it worked in the sense that, again, going from, more giant monster to a lot less, more of a thriller. I don't know if that worked in terms of a transition. It made a great movie, but I still don't know if it worked as a transition.
Yeah.
Like if again, it seemed like it did well. People really did enjoy it, and I think Cloverfield fans did enjoy it, but, I don't know. Like maybe in the future they go back to kind of a found footage movie if, it doesn't seem like other films are doing that. Because it seems like films have kind of moved away from that, which maybe, what's old is new again, and Cloverfield can kind of go back to it for at least one film. Because I would like to see because I've never really seen, a film series switch filming techniques that drastically.
Right, and do well with it.
That too, yes, do well with it as well because, small spoiler, I guess, at least as far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong here, but because I haven't seen the film, but the Netflix movie, it is not found footage, as far as I know. I mean,
right,
maybe it is, to be fair, but from the trailer, the small little trailer that I saw, or like I've seen people try to post some clips, and I've seen like pictures of it, it does not look like it's found footage. If it is, then holy shit, that footage looks crisp. But yeah, so it was a very interesting film. I think that's my only really big critique is that I wish there was more, not even more monster. I wish there was just more about the characters. And I wish that the whole 10 Cloverfield Lane thing was not a sign as she drove away.
Right. Oh, I couldn't stop laughing at that because I all I could hear was Michelle just like screaming "fuck you" as she drives through Howard's mailbox.
Mhm. That's why I didn't enjoy it. I think I laughed because it was like, they said it.
Yeah. Title drop.
Yeah, I don't think it was needed at all. So I'm not a big fan of when movies do that. You know, like, because can you just imagine are we experiencing some paranormal activity?
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, even though it wasn't said out loud, just seeing it there, I'm not a big fan. But, yeah. One thing that I find funny, though, is it wasn't said throughout the film itself, so that's kind of how the actors and actresses and people working on it didn't know that was the name of the movie. How funny is that, right? Like, oh, shit, that's the name of our movie? We didn't really have the need to say it throughout the film.
Yeah.
But so I think that's funny. In the same way that Cloverfield isn't necessarily said throughout the film.
Right.
So that was another, so, but like obviously it's part of I think it was like in the military, like it was dubbed the Cloverfield Monster or something like that, or Project Cloverfield.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was specifically. Or like the Cloverfield Incident or something. But so again, that's my only complaint about the film. Is there any from you that really stick out, anything glaring that you're like, well, if I could have changed it, I would have done this?
I mean, I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Tristan giving this thing the A+.
In a way, yeah.
Wow. Tristan's that's new, Tristan. I expected there'd be something.
Oh, well, okay. Here's my big glaring complaint, Matt. There's no Godzilla.
There we go. We found it.
Yeah.
We got it.
There you go.
No, there we go. We got it. No Godzilla.
No Godzilla.
That makes sense.
B+. No Godzilla. B+.
All right. You would have gotten that perfect A if this movie had Godzilla in it.
Yep.
Oh, God, jeez. Okay, so that's the only thing that's missing. It's the only thing. Anyway, I just want to thank you all so much for listening in to another Friday Night Movies podcast. Hopefully next week we'll have the next Cloverfield film. We might not. Stuff happens, guys. But I have a feeling that next week we will have the next Cloverfield film up. Anything else you want to say about this movie before we officially wrap this baby up?
No, I think we're good, Matt.
Wow. I feel like I don't know why. I feel like it's like, no, there was something wrong. Damn you, J.J. Abrams and others. Damn you, Josh Campbell, Matt Stukin, and Damien Chazelle. The credits are rolling for me. But that's what it was. It was Matt Stukin. And then it was produced by Abrams.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, now I remember what I wanted to say.
Yes.
The final thing I wanted to say before we wrap this whole baby up is apparently this movie, and I think this in a way, it kind of feels like it. This movie was not originally meant to be a Cloverfield film.
Ah, okay.
Does that make any more sense to you now?
I mean, I guess.
Well, because let me explain. It was a spec script, and it was basically Josh Campbell and Matt Stuka. And by the way, I want to mention the fact that they were credited for writing this. That usually does not happen with spec scripts, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. Because they basically wrote this script, and they wrote it as The Cellar. And they essentially, but they did write it in a post-apocalyptic world, so that kind of was part of the script, apparently, originally.
Right.
So basically, they wrote it, and it was so popular that something called the Hit List, which is an annually published list of spec scripts.
Right.
It basically was voted it was such a good spec script, and spec script basically means that it's getting shopped around. It's not the final script, but it could become a film from it just from this. It's like saying, hey, this person who you don't know, these writers who you don't know, or this writer that you don't know, made a script. And from it, a studio can buy it and turn it into. I remember once there was a spec script. I forgot what it was called. And guess what it became? It was an action movie spec script. And guess what it became after it was bought?
What did it become, Matt?
It became Die Hard 4.
Well then.
That happens sometimes, right? So this movie was purchased, and Abrams loved it, and a bunch of other people loved it. I mean, everyone loved it if it got voted to be one of the fucking best spec scripts of the year of 2012.
Right.
And so, Paramount Pictures, they're the ones who bought the script, and then with Bad Robot Productions, which of course is run by Abrams, they were like, oh, we should make this movie. And the code term was Valencia.
Huh.
To kind of keep everything under wraps because, Cloverfield fans.
Oh, yeah.
Or just in general, fans, Everything has a code name at one point or another.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so, yes. And so then that's when Damien Chazelle was actually brought in to rewrite the draft. But I still love that Campbell and Stukin were actually credited because, again, that does not happen a lot. Usually it's kind of like, we paid you your money for the script, go away.
Right. Yeah, no, that's nice. They got shout out too.
Yeah. And then of course, they got everyone on board, and then apparently during production when the filmmakers, during this production was when they were like, this is kind of like Cloverfield. And that's when they were like, well, you know what? That's what Abrams is like. This is considered like a blood relative or a spiritual successor of the movie, because that's how they felt about it. And so it's interesting because, I guess that's what really tied it in as Cloverfield Lane, if you will.
Yeah.
That, and of course, I mentioned last podcast. Apparently, Cloverfield is the name of an actual road or lane near Bad Robot Productions. Right. Yeah. Or one of J. Abrams' offices. Might not be Bad Robot Productions, but apparently that's where I got the idea for the name Cloverfield, funnily enough. Anyway, but as we're officially wrapping things up, I don't want to go longer than the actual movie itself. As we're wrapping things up, I do feel a little sad that there was nothing in the credits, nothing hidden, nothing cool. I didn't want, an after-credits scene about a sequel or anything. Right. But there was, in the first one, if you remember, they had It's Still Alive in the credits. Right. Yeah. So I kind of wanted some cool stuff like that where, after the first, because the first movie, it really made you feel like you want to dig in and see what cool shit is happening, both in the movie, both in the poster, with all the, backlog, the behind-the-scenes materials, and even, again, in the movie itself, it sounded like, if anyone doesn't remember, if they maybe haven't seen it in a while or something, or you didn't listen to our podcast, at the end of when they first roll the credits, and the stylized credits, not the ones at the end where they're just, black screen with everyone's names on it, with stylized credits, they had a sound clip that sounded like it said, "Help us," or "Help me." And when reversed, it's actually saying, "It's still alive." Right. Which was fucking crazy to hear that. And in this movie, nothing weird like that. I don't know what they would have put. I don't know if you would have, John Goodman saying something. Oh, my God. Yeah, right? Hear him, "I'm still alive." Yeah, right? I don't know what you would have put there. But I definitely feel like it should have been, I don't know, it just felt like it kind of lost a little something. So I'm happy that there's more movies because maybe there's more lore for us to dig into. But I felt like that kind of made it seem like it was not only its own standalone, which I'm not saying it shouldn't have been, but it felt like it wasn't, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt like there was something missing by having it not do that. Maybe. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. That was just a cool little Easter egg. That's all. I felt like it was missing like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening in. Love you guys so much. Thank you all so much for listening to all of our podcasts. We've been doing this for years now. We're nearing 700 hours of content. I'm pretty sure we're over 500 episodes overall. And I don't know where you're listening to this, but either way, if you're listening to us through our YouTube channel, which you search up Those Guys on the Radio and find us there, or maybe you're listening to us through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkontheradio.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, or you search up Those Guys on iTunes and you found us there. Regardless of where you're listening to us, thank you so much. We're currently, as we're kind of counting down to the end of Dragon Ball Super, you might notice on our YouTube channel, we're a little backlogged with some of our archived stuff on our YouTube channel, but thankfully we're posting a lot of our older Dragon Ball Super podcasts kind of leading up to the newest, the final episodes. If you want to listen to the most current ones, though, that we do have in audio form, again, you can listen to it through our Blog Talk Radio account. Don't know where you're listening to this to, but that's where you can go if you want to listen to our newer Dragon Ball Super podcasts. Also, if you want to see Tristan and I play different Dragon Ball Z games, you can go over to our Let's Play channel, Those Guys Play, search that up on YouTube, and you can find us there and see us play different fun Dragon Ball Z games. And, funnily enough, by the time this is out, I'm sure either the night of or the next day, speaking of Godzilla, you and I are actually going to be playing Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee for the Nintendo GameCube on Those Guys Play Season 4, Episode 2, because we started up Those Guys Play seasons again for the year. And you and I also have another game coming up a little bit later during this season that you don't know yet because we haven't filmed it yet.
Gasp.
Yes, but you and I did film the Godzilla one, which will be out this weekend. So that's something fun to look forward to. Also something to look forward to, and Saturday, which we'll be talking about, speaking of Netflix and Godzilla, the Godzilla Netflix anime movie, which was Planet of the Monsters. Yes. So that'll be out as well. So a lot of Godzilla this weekend, a lot of kaiju stuff going on here.
Yay!
Right? Tristan's like, I thought Christmas was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have a lot of cool stuff on Those Guys Play as well if you want to check it out. We have Matt Beats Games from his childhood, where I am Matt and beating games from my childhood. We have Clone Corner, where I focus on different clone consoles from around the world. We actually have Matt Plays PS1 demo discs. Pretty self-explanatory. We also have TG tutorials where I teach you guys how to either open up different consoles and clean them out, or play different game cartridges on different systems. So something along the lines of recently I had to teach tutorials about how to play Japanese N64 games on your US N64 without having to mod the console at all. Also how to clean your Japanese N64 games or clean your Super Nintendo games and stuff like that. So a lot of cool, interesting stuff like that. Oh, Tristan and I recently did how to spot fake Game Boy Color Pokemon games. So I had you on, and we were actually pointing out the differences between a legit official Pokemon games, and it can work with Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games in general. But we had 5 different Pokemon games, and it was basically you and I pointing out which ones were real, which ones were fake. So we have a lot of cool stuff like that on the channel and more. On that channel, we have nearly 500 videos, so we have a lot of content there that you guys can check out. And we have our TG Productions YouTube channel where we have little fun, dumb skits there, like video reviews and a bunch of some fun stuff you can go over there to check out. And if you want to donate to us to help keep us afloat, keep us doing our stuff, and depending on what you might want out of this channel. If you want to dictate what you want out of the channel, you can go to our Patreon account, which is patreon.com/GGProductions, and depending on what tier you donate to, you can basically say, hey, I really like your Godzilla podcasts. I want more of your Godzilla podcasts. And depending on what tier you donate to, you can say, I want you to do a review about this Godzilla movie now. And it won't be the same minute, but it would definitely be within the same week or the same month. We would basically make that higher priority because we want to hear what you have to say. And, of course, we can hear you say, we would love you to do this, we love you to do that. But, of course, Tristan and I and, of course, other hosts are very busy. So we really need to know from you guys specifically, hey, we want this. In terms of Let's Plays, if you want Tristan and I to play more Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, right? If you guys thought, no, we really enjoyed your original Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion that you finished up, and we want you to do Dark Moon, so please do more of that. That's definitely a great way to tell us that you want it immediately. Because it's not like you and I are never going to do Dark Moon again, but we have so much on our plate that we can't prioritize it unless we know that people are really looking forward to it. And that's kind of a way that we can kind of work with you, the fans, and understand what exactly you want from us directly. And when it comes to podcasts and even video game content, it doesn't have to be something along the lines of just a simple Let's Play with Tristan and I or a simple podcast on like a review. It could easily be something like, what are your top 5 Godzilla fights? Or top 5 Dragon Ball Z fights, or top 5 anime openings, or something like that. So the sky is the limit, really, when it comes to what kind of podcast you want us to do or Let's Plays you want us to do. And speaking of podcasts, we also have Keikaku Corner on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, and of course it's on Blog Talk Radio as well, where we talk about different anime, video game, and manga news, mostly anime. And we have clips for that every day on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, and you can check that out there as well. Also, we sometimes have a guest host on Keikaku Corner, and that is Tristan's cat, Patchy, an adorable cat that will sometimes attack you.
Oh, God.
Playfully, but sometimes she will. Anyway, so again, thank you all so much. We love you guys. Please, follow us through our different social media accounts, like our Facebook, which is /Those Guys on the Radio, our Twitter, which is @Those Guys Radio, and our Facebook and Twitter, or our main website, which is tgproduction.net. And you can even buy some of our merchandise, like T-shirts and fun stuff, more than that, even posters, stuff like that, over at our tgproduction.net/merchandise page, or over at our eBay, which is ebay.com/USR/ThoseGuysRadio. Thank you all. Love you. We're done with this. We're finished. All right, so take care, everybody. Say goodnight, Tristan.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.